Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a sports betting perspective, with pro handicappers Alex B. Smith and veteran sports writer Jimmy Murphy. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Tuesday, February 15th, Ian Cameron, Jimmy Murphy, and Andrew McInnis with us right now, ready to break down the Tuesday card on a Betcast Tuesday. That's right. Tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, our second live Betcast of the season. Looking forward to it. We have 9 games on tap, another busy Tuesday night in the NHL. And we'll start up the Betcast tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Just like 2 weeks ago, live betting. We're going to talk, shoot the shit about the games as they're taking place, keep you up to date on all the goals, everything that's going on, all the scoring updates, live bets, period bets, next team to score, live totals, period totals, live money lines, live puck lines, whatever. Live player props even. You can bet those at a lot of books. So everything's on the table tonight. A live Betcast. We'll be having one of these each and every Tuesday night, the rest of the regular season, and probably the playoffs as well. And we'll throw in a few on Thursdays as well. Maybe shorter, maybe not all night, including the late games on a Thursday. But the plan is at least Andrew and I will be jumping in to do some Thursday Betcasts as well throughout the course of the season. So looking forward to a lot of live betting shows, live Betcasts for the rest of the season, including tonight. So make sure you join us for that. DM me or any one of the crew if you want to join us live on the Betcast, and we'll make sure you get on the stream. But before that, we've got a regular daily show to get through and a card breakdown. So let's get to it. We will start in Ottawa with the St. Louis Blues and the Ottawa Senators. We have St. Louis minus 220, road favorites, total of 6 here in this game, shaded to the over. This is an interesting one because you got a Blues team that has played terrific at home, not nearly as good on the road, but overall they're still the better of these two teams. You've got an Ottawa team that, tell you what, they fight the good fight every game. The Bruins game, they lost 2-0. They just couldn't find the back of the net. Before that, Matt Murray played great against Pittsburgh. Again, couldn't find the back of the net. They had a 2-game shutout streak going into Washington on Sunday where Ottawa was held off the scoreboard 2 straight games. But they broke out against Washington on Sunday afternoon, Super Bowl Sunday, and ended up getting a very impressive 4-1 win in that game over the Washington Capitals. So Forsberg was very good in net. They gave, of course, Matt Murray the day off in that game, so Forsberg got in net. Washington continues to be just so inconsistent and erratic, and those struggles continued Sunday afternoon against Ottawa. But give the Senators credit, a nice solid road win, 4-1. And that's the tricky part of this game. St. Louis is better team. You think they can win this game, but you never totally count out the chance of Ottawa maybe sneaking up and pulling an upset or two. They're capable of doing that. This should be interesting in terms of the goalie matchup because we've got Ville Husso in net for St. Louis tonight. He's been terrific. He's been the better goalie. I think Craig Berube is finally committing now to him as the number one goalie, going into this game, and I don't blame him. This is now back-to-back starts for him. Unfortunately for Ottawa, you look at the situation that they've got here. The injuries are mounting. Josh Norris and Batherson and Colin White and Shane Pinto were already out. And now Thomas Chabot, the big hit he took. Clean hit, by the way, on Tom Wilson. I don't want to hear this Tom Wilson is a dirty player after that hit. That was a good, clean hit on his part. It was just an unfortunate result that happened to Chabot in that game, and he will miss this game now as a result for the Ottawa Senators. Looks like Alex Formenton, who also got banged up the last game, is questionable to play tonight in this one. He also left that game in the third period of Sunday's win against Washington. So you're already without Batherson and Norris, missing your best defenseman tonight, Chabot, and maybe Alex Formenton, who's played pretty well lately for Ottawa. So I don't know if I'm going to get involved in the game. Maybe on the Betcast I will from a live betting standpoint, but I'd lean to the Blues in regulation. I just think Ottawa could be a little bit too depleted tonight. This is actually a game I'd lean to the under with in terms of the total because you've got Husso playing great. It's probably going to be Murray and net. Murray's been excellent the last few starts. Tough luck. He played well against Boston. They didn't score for him. He played well against his old team, Pittsburgh. They didn't score for him. He's really played well. He's kept the team in the game, given them a chance, kept the goals against to a minimum. So this could be a good old-fashioned goaltending duel between two goaltenders playing well at the moment. So I would actually lean to this under just a little bit as well. Andrew, we'll start with you here, St. Louis and Ottawa.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the under there. I think Sens team total under -120 is even a better one, because that way you can just take St. Louis out of the picture. You guys know I've started to be a lot more of a team total better. It'd be horrible to see, an absolute demolishing in favor of the Blues, and then you lose that full game under. So Sens team total under is kind of where I'd look as far as that goes. But I found something kind of interesting here, guys. Without Norris and Batherson in the lineup, Senators averaging 2.1 goals per game. I mean, it's just not pretty. I mean, this is a team that I call them the pesky Sens. A lot of people call them the pesky Sens, I guess. And you never really know when they're going to upset a team. We found that out on the weekend with the Washington Capitals, I believe. And I just don't believe this is one of those spots for them, We talked about it with Vito a couple days ago, Ian, on the show, that everybody was on St. Louis. I believe it was against the Blackhawks. And I had their team total. And I think that they often score against the weaker teams. They don't get upset often against these below average teams. And I think that with the way their power play is set up, with the way their top six is built, and the physicality of this team, you throw in Husso, how well he's playing right now. I think that St. Louis Blues play a huge part in tonight's game and get the job done. The fact of the matter is, how do you beat this? How do you find a way to bet this? Do you look at the team total under? Do you try and find the dance partner? Of course, the one I recommended yesterday, even though I said that, hey, there's going to be one landmine. Of course, yesterday on the show, one of the two teamers I gave out involved Winnipeg. So that one didn't go very well. But I think that one of the two teamers I like tonight are Tampa Bay and St. Louis. At DraftKings, our sponsor, you can get that -108. So you put those two teams together, I think it's a pretty good spot for both of them.
Yeah, it seems like even the later and later we go into the regular season, the more and more you're likely, if you're going to go the parlay route, to find someone that upsets the apple cart, and ruins the whole thing, because you do find there's always that one team that's going to pull a monster upset. And you'll find that even more as we get later into the season. Like I say, and here we are, and I've said this on Twitter before the show, get used to this. This is going to be what we've got to deal with for the rest of the regular season, especially when you're talking about the better teams in the league facing the worst teams in the league. We have a night ahead here with 6 of the 9 games that have a favorite of -180 or higher. All right. And 5 of those 9 games -200 or higher. I mean, that is what we're dealing with right now. I mean, it's just going to be, you got to pick your spots. If you're going to get involved in these games with a large favorite versus a large underdog, you've got to get creative. Especially if you're going to back the favorite, you've got to get creative in what you look at. Do you go a team total? Do you go a first period puck line? What do you do? You've just got to find different derivative bets, because obviously I'm of the belief of this to be true, and I'm certainly recommending this to everyone watching and listening. You don't want to be laying -200 or higher on a regular basis. Not in this sport. You just do not want to do that. That is the one-way ticket to burning your bankroll in a hurry.
However, I will say that this is the time of year in both NBA and NHL where you really choose your buyers and sellers. There's going to be teams where you're going to find yourself fading constantly. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes for me, I'm like, I don't want to bet against a team too much, because it's like, oh, well, eventually they're going to win. But you look at a team like the Columbus Blue Jackets, that's a team that I could see myself fading a shit ton in the second half of the season and not really thinking twice about it. So sure, I wouldn't want to lay a huge price with the Flames tonight, or even look at the Blues, obviously, against the Senators, but they're a team that I want to find a way to bet. You know what I mean? So like, even though they have that huge price, find a way to bet on them, and that team total under is one that I never really do. You guys know me. I usually bet these team total overs, but I think tonight that's a good way of finding good value in this game is betting on St. Louis to play a good defensive game.
Yeah, exactly. Get creative. Team totals, first period puck lines, regular puck line if you want, but there's different ways to get at a big favorite like St. Louis tonight rather than -220. Better ways to get at them than -220. That is for sure. And look, I'll pat myself on the back for yesterday for one thing. Andrew asked the question on the show, which team was most likely to pull the upset. I did say Chicago against Winnipeg, because I didn't believe in Seattle. I didn't believe in San Jose doing it. I said, and I certainly didn't believe in Detroit doing it, although Detroit was pesky. They kept battling back, but eventually they did lose to Minnesota as well. Matt Boldy, holy shit, what a night. Hat trick for him. Is that guy going to be good? He already does look like a hell of a player for the Wild, but Chicago was the team that ruined people's parlays last night.
Jimmy, I got to say real quick before we get your thoughts, every time, are you at that bar right now?
No.
You're not. I will say that is the most real out of every green screen mode I've ever seen in my entire life. I swear to God, every single time, like, there's no way he's actually there, right? And I didn't think you actually were, but I'm telling you, man, that is a good quality.
That is because my silhouette and a bar go perfect together.
It's good though, man. It's good quality picture. It's good.
It's the Fours in Boston. It's now closed. Historic bar.
No, it is. But you look like you're really in that bar, and that bar does still exist.
Looks like he's at the bar with the
Maybe I'll be doing some shots from this bar later, but for now I'm sober. Guys, I'll tell you, I'm with you on this too, and I'm gonna not go near that side right now. What I'm gonna do is take St. Louis in the first period on the puck line here. This is an Ottawa team that obviously overachieves, and look, they are gonna miss Thomas Chabot, and that's what I'm really worried about. If there was one injury that I think they really couldn't overcome, it would be him, because look at the minutes he logs, look what he means to that back end and the front end with the offense he can create as well. So I don't like their chances. I think they lose, but just to play it safe, I'm going to take them in the first period here. I think St. Louis comes out and jumps on a team that might be a little disoriented, not having their backbone there. And then I'm also going to take the under because, like you said, Matt Murray's been playing some great hockey. And look, Jordan Binnington is due for a really solid game. He's trying to find his game. He wants to get in a groove heading towards the playoffs here. So I could sense an under game here, some good goaltending. So give me the under 6 and the Blues puck line in the first period.
All right, so that's first period puck line -0.5 at a plus price for Jimmy there, and the under 6 in this one. Jordan Binnington will have to wait for another game to pick
he's
up
not
his
in,
game,
eh?
He's not in tonight. Yeah, it's Billy Husso for the Blues, and he's been the better of the two. I mean, Greg Berube is going with the guy that's been better for him lately, no question about that. So I think he's the guy at the moment for St. Louis Blues.
Jimmy, I'm curious, like from the reporter perspective, like is it ever weird asking questions to coaches about that type of stuff when it's clear that a number one job is moving towards somebody else, especially with payroll and stuff like that? Like,
no, it's weird asking the goalie, but not the coach.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird asking the actual goalie who might be the guy getting pushed away.
Yeah.
So that can be a little awkward. We've had those moments before in Boston, so
I bet. Well, right now in Boston, it's a whole deal. Yeah.
I think after all these years, Jimmy's developed a good sense of timing, when to ask something and when not to.
Exactly.
It's all about
gotta read the room.
Yeah, read the room, and
sometimes you got to ask the
temperature of the situation. Yeah.
Sometimes you're gonna know. You're not gonna get a happy answer. You're gonna get a ticked off person responding, but it is what it is. You got to do your job.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next up, we've got the New York Islanders and the Buffalo Sabres. Neither of these teams have been doing their jobs for a large part of the season. We've got the Islanders -205, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. You've got the Islanders. Now, again, here we go, though, with the Islanders, right? This is now one of the games we expect them to win because they're playing a lesser light. That has been the story of the season for the New York Islanders. The step down in class, they're fine. The good teams, they can't win those games. And we've seen that evidence again. Calgary, Edmonton, good teams can't win. Minnesota can't win. LA can't win. Toronto can't win. What are the wins? Arizona, big whoop. Philadelphia, big whoop. Ottawa, not really all that spectacular. Vancouver was a decent win, but my goodness, I saw a lot of those goals go in early, and there was a lot of good bounces, deflection goals. Like I said, that 6-goal outburst, a little bit of an anomaly when you see how some of those goals went in. I give them credit for the win, but still, what I am noticing here is look at these shot on goal numbers, 30, 37, 36, 30 against Calgary. This is a team that's for a long time over the Barry Trotz era given up teens and shots on goal and even some games or low 20s, mid 20s. They're just not quite that airtight defensive team at the moment that we've seen over the years. You've seen them give up 5 to Calgary, 3 to Edmonton, 3 to Vancouver, 3 to the Kraken in a bad home loss, 4 to Minnesota, 3 to LA. Philadelphia even scored 3, Toronto 3. I mean, they are giving up 3 goals the majority of their games going into this one. Now you got a Buffalo Sabres team that, look, Skinner, My goodness, Jeff Skinner, what a day against the Montreal Canadiens. We're going to talk
The most
two
overpaid
Skinners.
player in the league.
Yeah, I mean, if your last name is Skinner, you're playing well apparently right now in the National Hockey. We'll get to the other Skinner in Edmonton later on, but Jeff Skinner, what a day for him against the Montreal Canadiens on Super Bowl Sunday. 5-3 victory over the Canadiens for the Sabres in that game, and a massive 4-goal performance from Skinner in that game against the Canadiens. That's what he's got to do. I mean, he's a guy that's was brought here initially to score goals from Carolina, where he had many of his better years, and he hadn't obviously always played up to that level and consistency here with the Buffalo Sabres. Alex Tuck has been, I think, a shot in the arm for the Sabres as well. Dylan Cousins has chipped in. Olofsson's healthy now. Tage Thompson's been really solid for Buffalo on that first-line center spot. So I've suddenly liked what I'm seeing here offensively a little bit from the Sabres. I don't do this very often with the New York Islanders, but I'm on a very rare Islanders over in this game at 5.5. It's just, to me, the Islanders, if they're going to put the puck in the net and have that offensive onslaught potentially here tonight against the Buffalo Sabres, the one thing we still don't trust necessarily is the defense and the goaltending combination. It's going to be Dustin Tokarski in net. He's on a 4-game losing streak, and he has a very, very porous 4.05 goals against average, .887 save percentage during that 4-game losing streak that he's on entering this game. Craig Anderson got the start against Montreal on. He actually didn't play that bad. Tokarski's kind of slumping a little bit. I mean, the Islanders really should find a way to put the puck in the net. You're right. It's the end of the road trip, too, for the Islanders. You wonder if on defense they're a little bit tired. A lot of travel. Remember, out west, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver. Now you're out east again for Buffalo. The end of this road trip could be a little sloppy, could be a little fatigued. Buffalo is capable offensively maybe to take advantage. So 5.5, a rare Islanders over for yours truly. Andrew, what do you think here, Islanders and Sabres?
Is a pass for me, and honestly, I'd agree with you. If I was playing this game, I would go over. But lots of action for me tonight. Not involved in this one.
All right, Jimmy, Islanders, Sabres.
Jimmy pass.
There we go. I'm alone on an island with the bet on the Islanders and Sabres.
I don't disagree with your pick. I like it, though.
Yeah, I think so. Like I say, Andrew might join me, though, pregame or in-game during the bet cast. And that's the thing. Even though we don't have a bet on certain games pregame or before the game, we can always get involved in our bet cast tonight. And again, 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you join us for that tonight.
And I will say, Ian, I don't have this on record, but you and I seem to have a pretty good record when we're on the same side on these bet casts so far. I don't know. Last time, I think we were like 2-0 together when we were on the same page. So,
yeah, I mean, the bet casts were very good, especially at the end. I mean, we cashed some good ones at the end of the night. I mean, we had Buffalo, we had Tuck to score at a crazy plus 300. We had the Sabres team total over against Vegas. It was a good night 2 weeks ago on that bet cast. So hopefully more of the same tonight, no question. All right, Tampa Bay, New Jersey next up. We've got the Lightning, minus 300 road favorites, 6 the total in this one. You've got obviously Tampa Bay playing, of course, their usual really rock-solid sound hockey for the most part. 4-3 win against Arizona. Did have to work a little bit for that when Brian Elliott was in that game. That was a game that took place way back on Friday night. So this team's actually had 3 days off prior to this game. So that's good news as they go to New Jersey to play this one. They had the 3-2 loss to Colorado before the break prior to that win against Arizona. As far as the Devils go, 4-2 loss to Pittsburgh on Sunday. Snapping a mini 2-game win streak that they had since, or 2 of their 3 wins before since the break. They lost to Ottawa, they pounded Montreal, beat St. Louis, big upset there, and then they lost 4-2 to the Pittsburgh Penguins in their last game. As far as the goaltending matchup here, don't have confirmed goalies, but you would assume Andrei Vasilevsky clearly in net for Tampa Bay. With them having been off for a long period of time. We should see probably John Gillies again for New Jersey. They've kind of been going with him lately in net as they await the return of Bernier or Blackwood, who have been out for a long period of time. Unfortunately for the Devils, Jesper Bratt is once again going to miss a second straight game. He missed Sunday's game due to an upper body injury. He will be out as well tonight. That's a shame because Bratt had been playing quite well for New Jersey, no question. Andreas Janssen also out, so that means you got to have Nate Bastian, Pavel Zacha, Dawson Mercer, Tatar, Sharon Govich, Hischier, all have to step up. Can't be all Jack Hughes without Jesper Bratt. So we'll see if they're capable of doing that here in this game tonight. As far as this one goes, as of right now, I'm kind of going back and forth. I think if I were to prefer anything here in this game, it would probably be the team total 3.5 on Tampa, minus 150, obviously minus 300. There's no way in hell I'm laying that number, but it's probably reasonable to expect Tampa Bay to score 4 goals. You look at their schedule. They do play Edmonton after this, but it's in a while. They actually have another break in their schedule after tonight. They don't play again for a little bit. So keep that in mind here when it comes to Tampa Bay. So they can go full bore tonight against New Jersey. No look ahead. They do have a little break in their schedule. You look at this Devils team. Pittsburgh scored 4 against them. St. Louis scored 4 against them. Ottawa scored 4. Toronto 7. Toronto 6. You get my point. They've given up 4 goals or more in a lot of games. So obviously, it's going to be tricky to keep Tampa Bay off the score sheet with this defense that's been shaky and John Gillies, who's, let's be honest, below average NHL caliber goaltender for sure. So that's the way I'd play it. Tampa team total over 3.5, around minus 150. A little juicy, but that's the way I would go in this one. Andrew, what do you think here? Lightning Devils.
Yeah, another one here. I mean, chalky night. NHL is coming super chalky. There's only a couple teams tonight on the card that aren't below minus 200. I mean, a lot of big favorites here tonight. But you look at what Tampa Bay has done recently, and I don't know, guys, but I'm still kind of waiting for an outburst from them. Between them and the Washington Capitals, I haven't really seen either of those teams have like several games where they blew teams out. And I know that kind of sounds like it would be a lot to ask, but it really isn't for those two teams and the caliber of hockey they have. If you look at it, the last 5 games this team has played, decided by 1 goal, like you were talking about, Ian, they haven't really been, playing their best hockey. They've kind of been just coasting along. And I think that, again, look at the guys that are out for New Jersey. Looking at even just the way they've been playing, the amount of goals they're allowing, no matter who it is, no matter if it's Ottawa, Toronto, who it really is, they're allowing goals left and right. So I never recommend these huge prices, and I'm very open and transparent. I'm having a great NHL season. I did lose yesterday when I did a 2-teamer with Winnipeg. But I will say that I think that Tampa Bay tonight is a team that you should be popping in to a few 2-teamers. And one thing I'll recommend to people out there when we talk about parlays, Ian, and this is just my 2 cents. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but the problem is there's so many favorites tonight. You make a 5-teamer. I think my dog might like the underdog tonight. Maybe he likes the Devils. He's barking a little bit. So I think that when you like parlays and you like all these favorites, keep it to 2 and round robin. If you like 4 or 5 teams that are favorites, don't just make one 5-teamer. Make several 2-teamers and mix and match. That's kind of what I'm doing tonight, Ian. I'm not going crazy with it, but you'll hear me talking about it on the Betcast tonight that, I'm not going to mix, like, for example, the Flames, the Blues, and the Tampa Bay Lightning, for example, right? I could do a 3-teamer with those, or I could just find some 2-teamers and a partner for each of those. And that's kind of the best way I want to go about it. Any thoughts on that?
It makes sense to me. I think you don't want to go for these 4 or 5 team parlays. I always tell people, stay away from that. Narrow it down to, I don't even like 3-team parlays, to be honest with you. I would usually stick with 2 and do a series of, and if you like more favorites than just 2 on the board, do a series of 2-team parlays. Yes. Don't make one big 4, 5, 6-team parlay, because there's always going to be that. And Chris Otto, of course, keep an eye on his totals charts. These are New Jersey's on a first period overrun, the torrid one, and the first 10 minutes there being a goal in New Jersey games is on a ridiculous run.
Yeah, I forgot
you got to lay a price now. It's like minus 165 or something, I believe, to have a goal in the first 10 minutes. But that goal in the first 10 minutes for New Jersey Devils games has been almost automatic. So if you're willing to pay up for that, a goal in the first 10 minutes here in the Lightning and Devils tonight, you probably got a good chance of cashing because it's on a torrid streak at the moment. There's no question about that. 10 minutes, it looks like. Let me just see. I've got it here. You can even go up. You can even take a shot here. Both teams to score first period, because New Jersey still might find the back of the net that opening period. But definitely that first 10 minutes, a goal in the first 10 minutes in New Jersey games has been pretty strong. and first period over for the Devils. It's been pretty strong as well. So could be something you consider as well. I probably will bet that. I don't want to know if I'll make them official show plays, but to have a little bit more action early on for our betcast tonight, I'll probably jump in on that first 10 minutes there being a goal for the Tampa Jersey game and maybe a little first period over 1.5 as well. Got to lay a price though with that, but might be worth it here. It's around minus 155 with that first period over. Jimmy, what do you think here? Tampa, New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. I mean, like you say, there's not too much value there in that first period over. I love it, but I there's just not too much value to do it. So this is going to be a game, guys, I'm going to look at in game, and hopefully we can throw some bets in all together as we're doing the betcast tonight. But back to what Andrew was saying, you know, I think, Andrew, what's going on there is why they're not blowing teams out. And I think you see the same thing sometimes with Colorado and other, you know, legit cup favorites is these teams now know that, you know, they're so skilled that you got to be careful when you have this approach, but there's some teams that can pull it off, that you pace yourself. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And I think they would rather save that for the playoffs and know, as long as they stick to their system, and they don't care if they win 3-2 or 5-2 or 6-2.
Yeah.
They stick to their system. As long as it produces a win, then they're okay with it. They're not worried about blowing these guys out of the water and kind of, you know, flexing their muscles, so to speak. So I think that's what we're seeing there with a team like Tampa, who obviously has been through it now. They're the back-to-back champs. They know how to pace themselves through a season, and I think that's what you're seeing there.
I like it. Well, there's a guy, Brian Leonard, on Wager Talk today. He was talking about it. Same thing you said. He's on Buffalo, Jimmy, plus 1.5 goals. And his reasoning is he thinks that even if the Sabres beat them, or excuse me, the Islanders beat them, they're going to win by 1. And he's like, I'm willing to lay the juice on that because the Islanders aren't worried about winning by 2 or 3. They're worried about getting the win.
Yes,
you know? So even teams like the Islanders, they're not thinking we can't wait to blow this team out. You're right. You know, and that's the thing about, and I never used to be a plus 1.5 better, but what you just said there is really intriguing because some of these teams, they're not really, hey, let's go out and win by 5 tonight. Let's just go out and win.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly right.
You get the times too where they do overlook these underdogs, you know, and that's the scary part. And it's only natural human tendency to do so. I mean, who's not going to overlook the Montreal Canadiens right now?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, who's not? It's just natural. It's in the back of your head coming into that game. Like, take the night off, we'll still beat them 5-1. I mean, it's not
human inclination.
Canadians. It's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, it's your body. You're physically, you want to play well. You want to dominate. You want to beat the hell out of a bad team, but that mental side of it won't let you because you almost like coast and you think it's going to be easy. And it's the mental versus the physical battle. And that's what sometimes trips up teams against inferior competition.
You hear about that in college football, basketball, NBA, where people are always like, I'm going to cut the spread in half and take this team in the first half. I'm like, dude, that's probably going to be the best half for the bad team. The blowout will happen in the second half. And you're going to lose your first half spread on the favorite, and the full game will win because like you said, I mean, these teams could coast for 60 minutes and beat the Habs right now. The Habs might have a good first period, but through 60 minutes, they're not really beating anybody. So yeah, it's a good point, but we'll see if it happens tonight though with the Devils.
That's the big question. Yeah, with the Devils Devils have offense. Devils can score goals, but it's been keeping the puck out. That's been obviously their biggest downfall so far this season. But their offense has kept them in a lot of games, and they've actually had a history of giving Tampa Bay a tough game. You look at recent and they've actually beat Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay recently as well. So we'll see if the Devils can give the Lightning another good battle tonight. Speaking of battles, it's the Keystone State rivalry battle next up. Philadelphia Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. We've got Pittsburgh minus 320, home favorites, 6 the total in this one. This is probably going to be my pass of the night right here. Nothing pregame right now. As far as when you look at it here, Pittsburgh's team total is 3.5 minus 160. No thanks, not at that price. It's just a little higher than the threshold for me that I'm willing to lay a price with that. And Carter Hart in net for the Flyers. Casey DeSmith back in net tonight for Pittsburgh. And, you know, he's a guy that's had an up and down season, really struggled early on. He's coming off one of his best starts, though, against Ottawa. Very impressive shutout win. Now you can pick at it a little bit and say, okay, Ottawa's not really scoring as much lately with some of the injuries they've got, but still, Casey DeSmith, very good in net. I'm certainly not looking to bet back the Flyers. I mean, I'm not going to ask the Flyers to beat anybody that's very good, and that has definitely been their issue. I mean, their wins have been, LA and Winnipeg when Winnipeg was beaten up on the blue line. Other than that, they've struggled. They dropped back-to-back in the home and home against the Detroit Red Wings earlier this week. So it's a game I'm going to end up staying off here, side and total. Betcast might get involved in terms of live wagering, though. So stay tuned for that. Andrew, what do you think? Flyers, Penguins?
I think tonight's the night Sid gets number 500. So I'm betting on that. It's not a great price, but that doesn't bother me. I'm taking Sid to get his goal. I mean, it's a rivalry game. Pennsylvania battle here. They're at home. I mean, it just kind of adds up, doesn't it, guys? I mean, the NHL's been tweeting about it for a couple games now. I think this is kind of the spot for him to do it. Let me pull up the current price here on DraftKings. I didn't check DraftKings earlier today. Player props. Yeah, so it's it's actually better than I thought. It's plus 145. So I'm definitely grabbing that. That's better price actually than I locked in, to be honest with you. But I talked about some two teamers I'm on, Ian. The other one I have for today, which isn't as good of odds, but like you mentioned, I like the two teamers, not the 3 or 4, is Pittsburgh and Calgary, two dance partners together. So I think at worst I go Splitsville with those two teamers that I'm making, those two teamers. And I just think that Pittsburgh's too much for them. That team total has really risen up, though, in price. And that was minus 150 at about 11 a.m. Eastern. It's really gotten up to minus 160, 65. So that one's kind of hard to take a look at. But at minus 320, it's hard to even fathom kind of what we can do with this besides, throwing in a two-teamer or some player props and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, guys, plus 145 for Sid to get number 500 tonight, that's a bet for me.
Yep. Yeah, over or pass. You know what? I am going to target the over in the first period. If it starts scoreless in the first 5-10 minutes of the game, this is like an Alex B. Smith special. I'm going to wait for the betcast, maybe grab a 5.5 in game because it is a strong over series history. 18-7-3 is the run to the over. Head-to-head Flyers versus Penguins, pretty strong. But again, you're talking about 6 to minus 130. It's close to hitting 6.5. So to me, this is wait. Maybe 5 minutes into the game, first TV timeout, you're going to get a 5.5 if it's scoreless at that time. Those are the kind of positive expectation bets you look for and you try to make with live betting. And the kind of concepts we're going to try to show you tonight and every Tuesday night on the betcast for sure. Getting better prices, better numbers live than you can get pregame with a particular wager. All right, Jimmy, what do you think here? Flyers and Penguins.
What I think is I'm loving goals here, boys. Give me the first period over and the total over as well.
All right,
and I'm gonna get on the Crosby to score as well. I think Andrew's right. He does it tonight.
All right, first period over, full game over. Split bet with the
Crosby to score
and Crosby to score, which is again you're never going to get the bargain necessarily for Crosby to score, but you can still see an out there plus 120. In some spots with the and if you shop around, it's even better. In some places, you can get even as high as plus 140. It appears, according to our guy Nick Earl in the chat. So
it's plus 145 at DraftKings.
There you go, right there. It's the reason why we love DraftKings here.
Yeah.
They give you that's a great price. That's really really good because some books just have plus 120. So
yeah,
good.
I wanted to mention, guys, real quick. Everyone keeps on calling him my favorite player, but Jake Guentzel over shots. It's been printing money. If it doesn't hit one game, it bounces back for 2 or 3 and more. So it's 3.5 now. It was 2.5 for a while, but I will be taking a look at that. And hey, we're doing the betcast tonight. We want lots of different things to cheer on. I think that line with Guentzel and Crosby gets lots of action.
All right, Boston Bruins, New York Rangers. Rangers minus 150 home favorites here. 5.5 the total in this game. This is a game where I should be on the Rangers because I know they're better than Boston. I know that Boston struggles to beat good teams. And I believe Adam Fox is back tonight for the New York Rangers. Yes, he is. Of course, he was missed clearly prior to the All-Star break, missed the last 3 games with an upper body injury. So Adam Fox rejoins the Rangers lineup. Still no Bergeron, still no Marchand in the lineup for the Boston Bruins tonight. They did beat Ottawa. I'll give them credit. They got thumped by the Carolina Hurricanes, and I don't think they felt good about it, Boston. And they played a very good, solid, sturdy road game against Ottawa without Bergeron and Marchand. But now you're playing the New York Rangers. The one thing that concerns me here, and it's why I'm not going to be looking at the Rangers at minus 150 or even at the regulation pregame, is that old layoff and that extended layoff. And that is not something I'm betting on. And I'm not betting on teams in this kind of situation, especially when they're minus 150 favorites. I don't want Boston without Marchand and Bergeron against any good team. That's clear as day. I do not want the Bruins tonight in this game. But at the same point in time, the Rangers are on a long layoff. I mean, so you're in a situation here where you got to trust them. And we have seen repeated examples. St. Louis last week, Anaheim last week, San Jose last night against Edmonton. These teams that have been off for 2 weeks or close to 2 weeks, they are struggling. They can't get up to game speed. They're having the game basically dominated by the other team. And you look at all these games, the other team has controlled the game. New Jersey controlled the game against St. Louis. Seattle was probably the better team against Anaheim, and Edmonton controlled the game against San Jose last night. It's like the Sharks were stuck in mud. That's a product of not playing in an actual game for almost 2 weeks, and that's what we've got here for the New York Rangers. So it's a pass for me. This is definitely a watch, see how it goes, and let's make some money live with this game possibly tonight on the Betcast. That's the way I'm approaching it. Andrew, what do you think, Bruins and Rangers?
Yeah, look, I told you guys about that new segment I'm doing every Monday, the buy and sell segment. This week's sell, for at least the time being, was the Boston Bruins. And I think there's a possible depth problem right now. And I think that it's going to come to show tonight. Even though New York hasn't played in a long time, they aren't the San Jose Sharks. The San Jose Sharks hadn't played in a long time. We saw what happened to them with a good goaltending team and a good defensive team. I think they'll be able to get the job done. So I'll lay the minus 150. Small lean towards the over, actually. I was kind of back and forth in the total all day. I could kind of see spots for both because I am preaching that I think Bruins have a depth problem. But I do think that you know what? I'll say this. I think the first period goes over, and I genuinely believe we can take a live bet on the under after that, and that could cash. I worry about New York's legs out the gate, but I feel like they settle in defensively after that. But I'm just laying it with the Rangers on the money line. This should be a spot the Bruins could potentially capitalize in, but I'm not so sure they can.
Those 3 games, by the way, with the Sharks and the Blues and the Ducks, which was Friday against Seattle, I believe the first period over cashed in all of those games. Edmonton did all the scoring, but the first period over did cash last night. It was 2-0 after the first period. That game stayed under. I think the other 2 still went over the full game, but all 3 of them went over in the first period. So I would say I don't like the total either way in this game, but I think if you like the over, this could be a game where you really do legitimately consider the first period as opposed to the full game with the over in this game, because we've seen the goals early in the first 20 minutes with these teams like the New York Rangers tonight, who are on this extended nearly 2-week layoff of no action, no games. Coming out of the All-Star break. So it might be, if you like the over, maybe look at goals early rather than later. What do you think here, Jimmy? Bruins and Rangers?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one here. I mean, the Rangers typically do pretty well against the Bruins, and we saw what happened the last time they played when I think it was on Black Friday back in Boston. And, there were 2-2 game headed to the third period there, and the Rangers exploded for 3 goals, won 5-2. So that's something, in game I may look at as the game goes on, maybe laying some money on the Rangers as the game goes on. But as far as heading into this, I'm liking that first period over, guys. I'm with you. I do. I like that a lot. I think that both teams are going to come out. Obviously, the Rangers, sometimes it takes a while to get going again, but I think the Rangers are going to have a lot of energy. They're going to be juiced up. MSG. They're going to be pumped up. And then the Bruins are playing some better hockey as well. So give me that first period over as my official bet for this. But this is something I'm going to watch in game.
All right, there we go. So first period over, and we'll be watching it for sure. This will be one of the games I'll definitely be watching the most on the Betcast, because it is one of the marquee games, certainly of the early slate of games. So we will definitely be keeping a close eye on it. Again, this is difficult because kind of is a bet against team right now, Boston, for me, against good teams and without Marchand and Bergeron, kind of like they were against Carolina, which couldn't have been any easier. The Carolina bet in that game against Boston last week, and now they're playing a very good Rangers team. But that Ranger layoff does bother me because we have seen teams really, really struggle in this kind of spot so far this year, and that does concern you. All right, before we get to our next game, let's mention, of course, DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NHL and also the NBA. New customers can bet just $1 on any NBA team and get $150 in free bets if they win. It's that simple. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still take your shot at a big payday. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes daily with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Basketball Contests. Great thing to take advantage of. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet just $1 on any NBA team and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partners of the NHL and NBA. 21 years of age or older, you must be. Minimum age and location requirements vary by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full list of requirements and state-specific responsible gaming resources. Void where prohibited. Minimum $5 deposit. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings app. Sign up for an account and use the promo code THPN. All right, moving on. Washington Capitals, Nashville Predators. We've got Nashville minus 140. Home favorites, 6 the total. In this game. This one's a tricky one. You got Washington. Something ain't right with the Capitals. There's no doubt. It's just too inconsistent, too erratic with this team at the moment. We'll see if they can figure it out, bounce back here in this game against the Predators. They'll also be looking to bounce back. They lost 5-2 on the weekend to the Winnipeg Jets, and now they've dropped 2 games straight coming out of the All-Star break. Washington just 1-3 in their last 4 games, losing to Columbus, getting upset in that game, losing to Edmonton. Although Ovi didn't play in that game. And, of course, the 4-1 loss to Ottawa. And Ottawa was in a tough spot. Back-to-back games, back-to-back early afternoon games, and Washington cannot take advantage, losing to the Senators in that game. The thing that jumps out off the page at me in this game is 2 teams lacking discipline, 2 teams taking way too many penalties, and 2 teams not killing off those penalties. Penalty kill is disaster for both of these teams right now. That definitely does concern you. And both of these teams have very capable power plays. You know, Nashville scored at least a power play goal in, it looks like 6 of their last 8 games. We know Washington's power play is always capable. They've capitalized on the power play, 5 goals in the last 6 games on the power play. You've got a dominant over series history here. I mean, 7 straight overs head-to-head, 5-3, 5-4, 6-5, 7-2, 6-3, 4-3, 6-3. To me, it's just a slam dunk decision here, bet over the total. I mean, it's just, to me, you've got 2 penalty kills that are struggling, 2 teams that are taking too many penalties, 2 teams that are lacking discipline. I think for Washington, it's a get-after-it game after losing 4-1 against Ottawa. That means go for it, be aggressive, look to get the lead. I think same thing for Nashville. You get an aggressive mindset. This could be one of those games where I even consider one of the Jimmy Murphy special here. First period over, full game over, doing a little bit of a double up here. I think we'll see the goals. The series history screams over. Both of these teams at the defensive end, and even their goaltending. Saros has been kind of average the last few starts in net for the Predators. And we've talked ad nauseum about Washington's goaltending. With Vanacek out, you can't trust anybody. Samsonov still hasn't figured it out. Samsonov is still fighting the puck right now. You can't really trust him night in and night out for the Capitals. And even if he doesn't start tonight, you got to go to Phoenix Copley. We saw what happened to him in his last start. It wasn't very pretty. They got goaltending issues. So for me, it's over the total here, Washington, Nashville, rather than choosing or trusting either side to win the game. Andrew, what do you think, Capitals, Preds?
Right there, exactly with you. You know, a lot of the advanced stats I've looked at today for both these teams. Shout out to Action Network. Honestly, they had a really good article on this game. They do a good job with kind of the advanced numbers there. And I do dive into that stuff quite a bit, but this is one of those games where I just don't really want to pick a side. I mean, both the goaltending for these teams right now has been a little bit shaky actually in some games. Their overall over teams just in general, last time they met, the score was 5-3 here. Expected goal numbers are actually huge for both these teams. And power plays. Don't put either of these teams on a power play. They'll make you pay. So I'm a little bit shocked it's not 6.5, but I think because of the Predators can play a little bit defensive sometimes. It's
because Nashville's involved.
Yeah, exactly. We don't get there with the 6.5. So I like it at 6. I'm right there with you on the over. All
right, Jimmy, what do you think here? Washington, Nashville.
Yeah, I'm loving this over as well, guys. And I'm also going to go with Nashville too. I mean, you're right, Ian. We keep saying, when is Washington going to fix it? When are they finally going to get in that groove? And I know they've got injuries, and I understand that's a factor, but there's just something missing with this Capitals team. And I can't pinpoint, and obviously they can't either. And I think it's going to be this way until they figure it out. Maybe they find the missing ingredient at the trade deadline. I don't know. But right now, there is definitely something off about this Capitals team. So I don't like going near them as far as betting on them, but I'm going to go against them for sure. Give me the Preds.
All right, liking the Predators here for Jimmy in this one, and it's you're right. Oshie's missed, and Mantha's missed. Mantha was a player that they've been counting on since they got him from Detroit, and he hasn't played in a long, long time. So they definitely want to get some of these guys back in the lineup for the Capitals, and we'll see if I do expect their offense to get a jolt here tonight, because again, Nashville, that was beyond bad for Nashville. The number of just really bonehead penalties they took against Winnipeg. You can't give a team 8 power plays. That's just not the way you can expect to win a hockey game, and that's exactly what they did against Winnipeg. So, and you see the Capitals have been in the box a lot lately too. So if there's a lot of power plays, that could help this game go over the total for sure. All right, Dallas, Colorado. This is the second of a home-and-home series between these two teams. We got the Avalanche minus 260, home favorite, 6 the total in this game. Colorado just, whipped Dallas in the meeting on Sunday in Dallas. A very impressive workmanlike effort, a very good defensive game from Colorado. I certainly think they've got the chance to keep it going and win the second half of this home in Denver tonight. Although there are a couple of intangibles that worry a little about Colorado. They got Vegas next up, a huge, huge showdown in what's going to be the Jack Eichel return, most likely for the Jack Eichel debut. Return to the NHL, but debut for the Vegas Golden Knights. A huge game, and you got to think maybe Colorado maybe looking one eye to that game potentially. Next up for them tomorrow night in Vegas. You worry about that a little bit. And plus, probably going to see Francouz, and not that Francouz, it is Francouz, which I expected. Probably give Kemper the start against Vegas. Jake Ottinger will be in net for the Dallas Stars after Holtby got the start on Sunday afternoon against Colorado. So we'll see how this one goes. As far as I'm concerned, though, when you look at this matchup, it's just tough to go against Colorado at home. It really, really is. But I know there was someone that was asking me about this game on Twitter and said, can we make a case for the Stars at the plus price? Situationally, you can. They're off the loss. They're in revenge against this team. And Colorado's got a huge game tomorrow night. But I just don't think Dallas may be good enough to beat Colorado and take advantage of this. So it's a pass for me in terms of the side and total. This is probably going to be a game that I look at live. Be careful with the over here. I mean, it's 6 shaded to the over, and I understand the interest, but Colorado's got a track record right now, the last week or two. They get a lead at home, they shut it down. They're not going after more goals. They're not going after, 4, 5, 6 goals. If they can get 2, 3 goals and be up 3-1, they're looking to just park the bus, so to speak. And especially with them playing Vegas tomorrow night, that could be a live under opportunity if they get a lead early here. They got Vegas tomorrow night. You don't want to expend too much energy. Just rely on the defense. Play a sound, sturdy, tight, low event game the rest of the way. Keep your stamina for Vegas tomorrow night, that big matchup. That could be something you target here, maybe possibly tonight with us on the Betcast later on tonight. Andrew, what do you think here with Dallas and Colorado?
I've got this theory that I do quite a bit when teams have played each other in a really short time. They're playing 2 times here. I look towards whatever the total happened in the first game. I usually look towards the other option in the second meeting. And we saw a 4-0 victory for Colorado, just pure dominance out of them. I'm on the over 6 in this one. I feel like Colorado continues to get theirs. They're a team you don't want to predict not to score. They're going to score. But I think Dallas capitalizes as well, and they get going. They're eager to bounce back off that rough game for them. So I think both teams get going here. And let's be honest, I mean, if we even got 2 goals from the Stars, we got to push in that last game. Unfortunately, they get shut out. I think tonight we go over the total.
Definitely is a theory that can work. And I know it's in the NBA even. I've done it as well with back-to-back and home, especially with the total. If the first game stays under, the second game goes over, or vice versa. The first game goes over and the second game stays under. That can happen from time to time. So we'll see. It depends on the game flow too. Like if Dallas gets the lead early in this game and surprises Colorado, gets the lead, this turns into an over game very quickly because park the bus with Colorado in front is not going to happen. if Dallas gets the lead early. So that changes the game. That's why this is definitely a good live betting thing. If Dallas takes the lead, this becomes an over game. If Colorado takes the lead, goes up 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, then this is probably going to slow to a crawl. And maybe, the goals will actually simmer down later on in the game. So it's a good game to watch and observe for sure. But I understand the case for the over. Again, with these home and homes, maybe look for the different result from the first meeting. Jimmy, what do you think? Dallas, Colorado?
Yeah, I'm right there with the over as well, but I'm also going to look at Colorado specifically and take their team total over. You get some really good value on it right now. They're a workhorse. They're rolling right now, and Dallas is one of these teams, guys. Like, coming into the season, I thought of them as an under team, but they've had more overs than I imagined they would. And when you're playing a team like Colorado, you're going to give up some goals regardless of how good you are defensively. So give me that team total over.
All right, Colorado team total over, which you can get at minus 140 in this one, and also the full game over 6 here with the Stars and the Avalanche in this back-to-back. Again, these same two teams, they played in Dallas on Sunday and now in Colorado tonight. All right, next game on the slate here as we continue along. Just 2 games left. We've got the Columbus Blue Jackets and the hotter-than-hot Calgary Flames. These are not just Flames. These are red-hot Flames right now. Flames that'll burn your ass right now. That's the Calgary Flames at this point in time. We've got Calgary minus 280, home favorites, huge home favorites here, 6 the total in this game. When you look at this matchup, Calgary is just very impressive. Everything that they're doing right now is both ends of the ice. I mean, their defensive play has been sturdy. Jacob Markstrom's been outstanding, I think, for the better part of the last week or two. And their offense is as good as I've seen it. I mean, in a long, long time. Johnny Gaudreau looks like the Johnny Gaudreau that we think can dominate the league at times. And we just hadn't seen that version of him for an extended amount of time. But you look at this team, guys, and what they're doing. Their last 10 games, they lost 5-1 to St. Louis, and they had a 1-0 overtime win against Vancouver when Demko was out of his mind, kind of like the way he played against Toronto Saturday night. But other than that, they've scored 3-7, 6-4, 4-6, 5-5, especially out of the All-Star break. They've scored 16 goals in 3 games combined. They are lighting it up. Gaudreau, Kachuk getting involved. Mangiapane can't be stopped right now. Mangiapane's figured out how to score at the Saddle Dome. Most of his goals were scored on the road this year, and now he's figured out how to score goals in the Saddle Dome, and now it's made this Calgary team even more dangerous. So there's a lot to like right now with the Flames at the moment, with their ability to score goals in bunches, with their ability to, again, protect a lead. That's also been solid going into this game. You look at their schedule tonight, I've just got that feel. They played the Leafs, they played Vegas, they played the Islanders, who outside of the conference, but still a team that's been in the playoffs, been to the conference finals the last couple of years. Now you play lowly Columbus. I just get that sense this is going to be a little bit as in they're winning too. They're winning games comfortably. I could see them sloughing off and a little looser defensively tonight, Calgary, just because, they've had some big games, some good competition, good opponents. Now you play lowly Columbus, who they already absolutely crushed 6-0. Earlier this year in Columbus. Remember, that was that game where Columbus gave up, 50 shots on goal over that in that game. It was an embarrassing performance, to be quite honest with you, by the Jackets in that game. 62 shots on goal for the Calgary Flames in that game. 6-0 shutout. I think Columbus really, really tries to make amends. You'd never like losing that kind of game to somebody. I don't expect them to win, but I expect the effort to be there. I expect them to pepper shots on goal. I expect them to really bring the forecheck in the offensive zone. And they do catch a break tonight in that Daniel Vladar is going to be in net tonight for the Calgary Flames as they give Jacob Markstrom a little bit of a rest. And for Vladar, he's been good at times, but lately not as much. He's given up 4 goals to San Jose, 4 goals to Tampa Bay, 6 goals to Carolina in his last 3 starts. So I like this game over the total of 6 here, Jackets and Flames. I think it gets there. I like a Calgary team total, probably a consideration as well. 3.5 minus 140. I think they could get to 4. They've gotten to 4 in every game since the All-Star break. Chris Otto's thought on that is good value. A team total, Calgary Flames, over 1.5 in the first period. Flames team total over 1.5 first period plus 190. That's very good value. And they have been jumping on teams early in games. that's a good price. That's win or lose, Chris. That is a bet where you say that's a good value. Win or lose, that's worth a bet. If it loses, so be it. But at that value, at that price, you can't shy away from taking it, in my opinion. So I like the full game over. I like the Calgary team total over. And what Chris Otto, our friend, is saying in the chat with that Flames team total, first period, over 1.5 plus 190. I could see it. I could easily see 2 goals from the Flames in the opening period. And at that price, almost plus 200, terrific find by Chris. I agree. That's worth a bet just on value alone. Andrew, what do you think? Jackets and Flames?
You know what? All I really have is that 2-teamer that I mentioned earlier. So it's just those two parlays that I've made, and I felt like obviously those are the dance partners you want to put together. So I've got the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Calgary Flames, and again Tampa Bay and St. Louis together. But the Flames are hot right now, no pun intended. And I think that there's no point in going against them against bottom feeders like the Jackets. I mean, this is where they're going to get their points. They're going to try and get the full 2, and I don't see them slowing down right now. I just, when you've got a goaltender like they do, whether it's even Vladar has been good as well. He hasn't been too bad, and their defense is stepping up. I find that when you have more forward success, the defensemen don't feel like they have to jump into the rush as much. And I've noticed that with the Flames. I could be wrong, but I think the defensemen are kind of staying at home a lot more, which might be helping them.
Hopefully, Elvis Merzlikins doesn't get the kind of rubber thrown at him that he had in the first meeting against Calgary. I mean, he was in net that night when they had 62 shots. Actually stopped 56 of them. So all things considered, it could have been worse for Columbus in that game. But no, Merzlikins will get the nod tonight. Let's see if Columbus can at least negate the shot count a little bit tonight, because that was just clearly not good enough when you're giving up 62 shots on goal to a team like the Jackets did in Columbus against this Calgary Flames team earlier this year. Jimmy, what do you think here, Columbus and Calgary?
Yeah, just loving the Flames here. I got a couple or actually a few on the Flames tonight. First off, give me a little prop on Tyler Toffoli to get a goal in his first game with the Calgary
He's expected
Flames.
to be in the lineup, by the way.
Yep, why not? And I think he's going to be juiced up coming from a miserable season in Montreal. Now he's on a contender, and he knows a lot of these guys. Part of the reason they acquired him was the chemistry he has with so many guys in that dressing room already, and obviously head coach Daryl Sutter. So give me a goal prop on him. I'm also liking that team total over for the Calgary Flames in the first period as well. Thanks to Otto for pointing that out. And I'm with you, Ian. Give me the over in the whole game. And one more. Give me a Jimmy puck line. Even though it's not the best value, give me a Jimmy puck line on the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, which is minus 115. That's not bad, actually. Minus 115.
Yeah, you'd like to get some plus in the puck line, but
yeah. But like in the minus 1.5 here.
Hey, in this matchup, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Hard to argue it.
I think
Columbus, Columbus, the one thing about Columbus, though, if again, I'm going to mention the same, cast of characters that I've mentioned lately for them offense. Like if you're going to take some Jackets props, and again, you got Vladar, not Markstrom tonight in net. So there's a potential maybe for the Jackets. Laine is the guy right now. He's definitely playing well for the Jackets. Bjorkstrand's been good. Even Gus Nyquist, the veteran, has been chipping in a little bit offensively lately. Can never discount.
What about Boone?
Boone Jenner, at times. Tessier sometimes as well can chip in. So, yeah, I do think you'll see goals both ways. Probably, obviously, more from Calgary. Don't get me wrong. But definitely I think the Jackets will find the back of the net here a little bit as well. All right, we've got one game left. That's it. Last game coming up on the slate here to wrap up the Tuesday card. We've got the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Los Angeles Kings. Kings minus 115. Home favorites in this game. The total 6 pretty much across the board here in this one between these two teams. Actually 6.5 is what we're seeing here with the total in most spots. The LA Kings, another one of those teams that is on a long extended layoff. We have not seen the LA Kings play for a very long period of time. That concerns me, just like it does with the Rangers tonight, like it concerned me with San Jose last night, Anaheim and St. Louis last week, and all of those teams really had a tough time in that first game, and they all lost that first game. So you're talking about teams with the 2-week layoff, 0-3, and that's the situation here for the LA Kings. They have not played since February 2nd, nearly 2 full weeks since their last game. So you actually look at it on paper, you think, which is the worst spot? The Kings on a 2-week layoff or the Edmonton Oilers second to back-to-back games on the road? I think it's worse for the Kings. I think the fact the Oilers are playing good hockey, they've won now 2 in a row with Jay Woodcroft. And I don't want to look, the Oiler fans, if you see some of their tweets on Twitter after last night's game, they're ready to build a monument and a statue next to Gretzky outside the arena there in Edmonton for Jay Woodcroft already. I mean, they are just singing this guy's praises already and the job he's done. And look, it's 2 games. It's a 2-game sample size. We can't go nuts just yet. But I will say this, guys. You talk about team defense and some structure and some stability and some just changing the way you play. You know how many years we've watched the Edmonton Oilers and just criticize this team for giving up their own blue line so easily, letting the entry into their own zone. It's like a free pass. It's like, here, you want to come into our defensive zone? Here you go. Just skate on through, get whatever scoring chances you want. That's been the Edmonton Oilers for the last several years. Do you know what I've seen now in these 2 games under Woodcroft against the Islanders and the Sharks? They're standing up at the blue line. They're standing up in the neutral zone. They're not giving up the blue line as easily. You got to work now. You got to chip the puck by them. They're not just letting you skate easily and generate speed through the neutral zone to get into the zone now against the Oilers. That's been the difference I've seen. And it's been remarkable. I mean, they kept the shots at a minimum. They kept the quality chances that the Sharks had at a minimum last night in that 3-0 shutout win. I know Stuart Skinner got the shutout win for the Edmonton Oilers last night. Congrats to him for his first shutout in his NHL career. But it was a quiet shutout. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have to do a whole lot. They didn't put him in a situation where he had to make a ton of huge saves. It was a very good game for the Edmonton Oilers. You do factor in, yes, and Robert's point is true, Islanders and Sharks. It's not like they've beaten, juggernauts here in these first 2 games, but they've had a lot better team structure. They've had a lot better team defense. The commitment without the puck's been stronger. And look, they're getting some depth scoring. I mean, look at the guys that scored some of those goals last night. Warren Foegele chips in offensively for the Edmonton Oilers last night. You had Darnell Nurse scoring a goal for you. Of course, Connor got on the board, but McDavid, but as well. I mean, you've seen Cody Ceci from the blue line score for you. Puljujärvi scored against the Islanders the other night. Finally, they're starting to get some of their other contributors helping out Leon and Connor offensively. So lots to like here from the Edmonton Oilers tonight. Or lots to like for the Edmonton Oilers in these 2 games. I'm going to ride them again. And I said this with Andrew yesterday, that I was going to ride Edmonton as long as they kept winning in these first few games since the coaching change. And I'm going to take them again here, right around even money. All the money's come in on Edmonton. This did open LA minus 140. It's down to even money here. So you're not getting the best price, but I'm still looking to take Edmonton here and ride this team, which is playing some of their best, most complete hockey that I've seen in years in these first 2 games. Now, again, will this be sustainable? Can they keep this up long term? That's the $1 million question. If I had the answer for you, I'd be rich, but I don't know. But what I do know is we've had 2 very good examples in these 2 games since the coaching change of a different looking, more responsible Edmonton team and a style that's going to win them games, not only the rest of the regular season, but in the playoffs if they make it there. The question is, can they keep playing that way? I hope they can, at least for one more night tonight. Edmonton Oilers. I'll be on them here at even money. Andrew, what do you think here? Oilers, Kings.
Yeah, I think the wrong team's favored in this one, and the odds makers aren't really taking that time off into account, especially for a good defensive team like the LA Kings. This Oilers team, I told you guys, I feel like the term back-to-back is one of the most overused expressions in sports handicapping as far as the money line goes. Edmonton should be feeling great about yesterday. If I was Edmonton, I'd want to play the next day too. You want to move that momentum immediately. Let's not let that slow down at all. Give me another team. Give me an opponent that hasn't played in several days. I mean, not even several days, longer than a week. That's what I'd want if I was the Oilers after a great team effort, good defensive effort. I think situationally, it has to be the Oilers here tonight. I've locked it in on the money line, and I like it quite a bit.
There we go. Andrew like in Edmonton as well. You can get them around minus 105 at the current price in this one. And We're going to try to keep the betcast rolling right through this game in the late night hours. And my plan is to stick around for it. So stay tuned. It'll be a long night on the betcast, but I'm going to be in and out. That's the one thing I'm going to mention. If I'm going to go long into the night, I'll be taking my little 15, 20-minute intermission periods at some point. And hopefully
you deserve it, man. You deserve
all of
it.
you guys carry the show. Like, I talk enough. Like, come on. You can give me a 15 or 20-minute intermission during the betcast tonight. So that way, you get a little break to refill your drink or washroom and all that stuff, smoke break, whatever the case may be for you. Not for me, but for some people, a little smoke break, but regardless. But I'm going to try to keep the betcast going right through the end of this late game, Oilers and Kings tonight. So
my plan, Ian, is to join a little bit later today.
Yeah.
And then I'll be on kind of for some of the later games. That's kind of what I'm planning on doing.
Sounds good.
That way I'm not
whenever you can. Yep.
Yeah.
Great stuff. All right, Jimmy, Edmonton, LA.
Yeah, guys. I mean, look, I love the value you can get on the Oilers right now. They're playing much better hockey, much more structured hockey, like you said, Ian. And I'm going to go with the Oilers in regulation in this one. They're going to spoil the party in LA. I'm not sure if you guys know, but they are going to have a little ceremony for Drew Doughty for his 1,000th game before the game tonight. I'm sure he'll get that, the golden stick they give him. So they'll have a little ceremony there. And, I've always been one who I never like the home teams when they have the pregame ceremonies. I feel like they come out flat. So I'm also going to take the Oilers puck line in the first period. The Oilers money line in the first period. And then, guys, you look at the over-under in this right now, based on the way the Oilers are playing, based on the fact that LA's had a long layoff, they could be a little flat. I like the Oilers to continue this suffocating defense and stay structured. So give me the under as well.
You know what? You can't argue with that. You can't. 6.5 here. I mean, we're talking. This total's lined like the Kings are an offensive juggernaut, which they're not on a consistent basis, and they're 6.5 like the Oilers are a sieve defensively, which in 2 games under Jay Woodcroft, they have not been that. They've been sturdy. They've been responsible.
Now we got to ask: is the Super Bowl going to be in the house tonight? You think, or what?
Probably. I'm sure they'll do something with the LA
they got to do
Rams.
something
I would
for the
think
Rams,
so.
right?
Yeah,
well, they don't want to embarrass the Kings. It's been a while since they were close to touching anything.
Yeah, but longer than any Canadian team.
They
won at least most recently before any Canadian team did. So
that's true.
The last laugh is still on most teams in the league because the Kings winning their cups with Sutter. It was still only 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. So,
by the way, how'd you guys do? I didn't get to talk to you. How'd you do in the Super Bowl?
I did good. I mean, profitable, not monstrous. It looked like at one point it was going to be monstrous, but Mixon receiving yards fell short. Odell got hurt. A couple other bets fell short.
You have Odell on the MVP?
Yep.
Yeah, I did too.
The Odell hurt me for receiving yards, Jimmy. That was one of my favorite bets.
He was rolling, man. He was
going to get.
I needed 11 more yards.
Yeah.
11 more yards.
Rolling. And then I actually teased the Rams down, and then teased up the over under. So I had the under. So it actually worked good. I did all right on that. But
awesome.
A lot of my props didn't hit.
Yeah, to Jimmy's point, Edmonton's maybe right now, until proven otherwise, an under team at the moment.
Yeah, and you'll probably get some good value because it might take a few games for the odds makers to read into this new Edmonton Oilers team.
Yep, exactly. I mean, just defensively aware? Wow, my goodness. You're right. It's something we have not said with the Edmonton Oilers in a sense very often over the last.
Stuart Skinner, hey?
Yeah, and Skinner was good. Skinner made actually a couple of really good saves early in the game. But then as the game went on, Edmonton really tightened it up and didn't allow a lot. In the first period, they kind of allowed San Jose to really dictate the play, and then Skinner was good, and then they took over from that point on. But I think it's going to be Mike Smith tonight on the back-to-back. Pretty sure of that, that we're going to see Mike Smith tonight for the Edmonton Oilers, who played well against the Islanders in the first game after the coaching change on Friday night. So, yeah, Mike Smith, Cal Peterson, the goaltenders in this game for the Oilers and Kings. All right, great stuff. We're going to wrap it up because we're going to be back in 3.5 hours for the Betcast, 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. Again, DM any one of us if you want to join us live on the stream, and we'll shoot you the link before the Betcast starts. Let's wrap it up with best bets to wrap up this show. Andrew, we'll start with you. Best bet.
I'm going to go with the Colorado and Dallas over 6. I love kind of the quick opportunity for Dallas to bounce back and get some goals themselves. We got all the guys in the chat room right now, Chris and Earl or Nick, talking about the Kyle as well. Stars team total. Hey, that'll help me if they get some goals. So over 6 for me, Stars Avs.
All right, Stars Avs over 6, best bet for Andrew McInnis here. Jimmy, what do you like for best bet? Muted, Jimmy.
Muted. There we go. I'm going to go with that under 6.5 in that Kings Oilers game.
All right, Edmonton, Los Angeles, under 6.5, a best bet for Jimmy Murphy. Looks like it's 3 best bet totals tonight for the Ice Guys crew. Mine will be Washington, Nashville, over 6. Pretty easy decision. Just crazy over series history. One over after another, head-to-head, Capitals versus Predators. 2 teams with a sense of urgency after losing the last game, slumping a bit. I expect them to be aggressive, look to get out in front early, and that should open up the game quite a bit. And we'll see goals both ways, in my opinion. 2 slumping netminders all of a sudden. Saros and Samsonov for these 2 teams, and slumping defenses. Teams taking a lot of penalties, 2 teams struggling on the penalty kill. Good recipe for goals. Washington, Nashville over 6 for my best bet for tonight. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. We will be back 3.5 hours from now, 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight for the Ice Guys live betcast. Make sure you join us for that. For Jimmy Murphy and Andrew McInnis, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time for the Ice Guys live betcast presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.